Well, as usual, Hamas is sending a signal to Israel that it's running out of patience. It is trying to tell Israel that it better implement some of these understandings from the ceasefire that was agreed upon a couple of months ago between Hamas and Israel. And they do that by sending either rockets or arson balloons, or in this case, they're shooting at construction workers and soldiers. So it is really the cat and the mouse game again. Hamas is trying to get Israel's attention, and they got it.
Now, Israel has plenty of other issues to focus on right now, other than Gaza, of course. Could that be why Israel has delayed, aid coming in from Qatar to the Gaza Strip?
It definitely could be. Look, the government is under immense pressure, first of all, from the COVID-19 outbreaks. They're trying to handle that. Also, mass demonstrations against Netanyahu. You have the northern border that is constantly tense, at least these days, with Hezbollah trying to launch attacks across the border, with Syrian infiltrations from the Syrian borders. So Gaza is really not the main priority for Israel right now. And that could be why they're delaying the aid. But they also know exactly what will happen when they do that, because Hamas is trying to tell them that they don't really care if Israel has other things on their plate. They better deliver this aid, and they better do it now.
Now, this week marks 15 years since Israel disengaged from Gaza, but Israel and Hamas are still fighting with no end in sight. What is the solution here, really?
Look, it's a nightmare for both parties. It's a nightmare for people in Gaza. It's a nightmare for people in Israel. And I think everyone really is waiting to see when the next war will be launched. I think it's a matter of time, really. And I had a chance to speak to one of the Israeli ministers who's in the security cabinet, and he had a pretty harsh prediction as to what will happen. Let's hear what he had to say.
But we will eventually have to go back all the way in and take over Gaza, because one day it will be impossible. One day there are going to be so many rockets and so many missiles that will be launched at us that Israeli public will not accept this kind of status quo. And it's going to be painful.
So basically...
Now, that is quite the harsh prediction. What do you make of it, Yotam?
Look, first of all, it's a very, very harsh statement coming from a member of the Security Cabinet. To say that Israel will have to take over Gaza is quite controversial, I think. I don't think that a lot of people in Israel would like that. But of course, the government has to do something at some point. So either a war, or to take over completely, or to try to negotiate a ceasefire with Hamas. But up until now, it hasn't really succeeded in doing so. So I do think that we will actually see a war, and maybe actually Israel taking over.